So it's been 60 days since I became the guardian of a teenage boy. Let me share with you some of the things I've learned over the last 60 days. If you're considering taking in a teenager, helping them out, helping the families out, and you're wondering what you're getting into, and it's been a while since you've had teenagers, or you've had teenagers, but this is a little different scenario, let me share some of my observations over the last 60 days. First, fundamentals, whether it be healthcare or dental care or personal care or therapeutic care, all of that is what they need. Sometimes those needs have been put on the back burner due to the circumstances. So kind of going through that list, thinking, okay, what do they need from a personal care, whether it be haircuts, what do they need from a dental care or from a healthcare perspective? Have they had a physical lately? Have they had, shots or boosters or any of that type of situation lately? As well as therapeutic care. Have they ever seen someone, talk to someone about some of the things that they've experienced, some of the trauma they may have had? Because that's also healthy for them to do. So that is one element that really had to address, and sometimes they can articulate what they need, and other times they don't even know the last time they've seen a doctor or seen a dentist or done that. So that has been really important. Another one is education. So I was able to get into the school system fine. The educators are helpful. They have a lot of students. So being an advocate, but also the social considerations when you're talking about a teenager. How do you help them make friends? How do you help them adjust? I was lucky enough to have an older son in the house who could help just bridge the gap and take friends out or pick them up and take them to a place, take them to eat, do something with them so that they could expand their social circle. And that was very, very helpful. But the social considerations are real. Social considerations, even how do I go out as a teenager with my friends and if I don't have any money, if I don't have any means to do so, and how do I fit in? So all of those are very real considerations over the last 60 days. Those are things that we've been wrestling with and trying to help navigate with a teenager who is a typical teenager. They're engaged one day, disengaged another day. They're moody, they're engaging, their frontal lobe is still developing. They're sleeping a lot in some cases. They're on their technology. They're trying to figure out their independence while still being very dependent on a lot of things, and they're self-centered. So all of that goes into being a typical teenager, and then you layer on top of it some of the trauma, and the trauma is real. Let me be really clear. Trauma can be divorce. Trauma can be losing someone they love. Trauma can be losing a best friend or moving. Lots of trauma. In these kids' case, the trauma is real. It can be very significant, and not to underplay what the impact of that trauma is on top of being a normal teenager as well. And some of the things that I've learned about trauma during this process, the last 60 days, is control. Pick your battles, whether it be, what are you going to care about? What are you going to fight for? What are you going to provide consequences for? How important is academics in this environment? In my situation, my role is to provide a safe environment where he's cared for, where we can potentially change the trajectory of his life by 1 degree, 2 degree. It's not intended to be, it's taken this long to get all the accumulation of experiences he's had. I'm not going to undo those in 60 days. So giving him a foundation, looking for more of a long-term impact, to have a reference point of a healthy family situation that is not under stress and what that might look like. But I'm not going to fight on academics. Academics are his responsibility and what he's doing. I'm not going to fight on him. I'm going to help him. I'm going to advocate for him. I'm going to do my best to coach him through it. But ultimately, he has to show up for his academics. The same is true for things like food or technology, you have to help them regulate and help them make good choices. But ultimately, it's their choices. And they're teenagers, so they're going to be pushing that independence and pushing the dependence. And the more you battle with them, the more adversarial the relationship becomes versus working towards a common goal of them being successful in school, in life, in their social element. All of that is about not being overly controlling and not picking battles, but rather work towards things. And probably the biggest thing I've learned in the last 60 days is the importance of demonstrating unconditional love. And that may sound kind of funny, but to truly let someone know that no matter what they do, how they behave, how they show up, that they will be loved and cared for, and it isn't conditional upon their behavior. You don't necessarily have to like all the behavior, but it's not about the behavior. It's about the fact that they're worthy of love. They're worthy of being cared for. And it is not because of how they behave that they're worthy. So those are some of the big things I've learned in the last 60 days. If you're considering, hosting, taking someone in and helping the family out, helping a teenager out, teenagers are teenagers. You were one at one point in time. You remember some of the good things you did and some of the crazy things you did and how much you may have annoyed your family, your parents, your siblings. It's the same regardless. There's just an added layer of complexity and sensitivity that has to be considered in this case. If you like this video, comment, subscribe below. Your business profit. Until next time.